Hey YouTube, thank you for joining in with me today. Uh, we're going to talk about the four functions of behavior and applied behavior analysis and a little bit about why those are important and how they affect treatment. So to begin, there's four functions of behavior. Those include attention, access, sensory automatic, and escape and avoidance. The first function, attention, usually occurs when we want to gain social attention from others, such as our peers or our parents. And an example of this would be a child throws a toy to get their caregiver's attention, or I've had kids before, they test boundaries, and the function of that is to get attention. And so it might be a little counterintuitive because you might have a kid that kicks something that they aren't supposed to and tries to damage it. And as a parent, I feel like our first response is to go and reprimand them and say, oh, that's not okay. But the problem with that is if the function of that behavior is attention, sometimes giving that reprimand, we can inadvertently reinforce that behavior and see it in the future. So learning to recognize the functions of behavior can be important because responding based on function has shown to improve treatment outcomes in research. So in this scenario, if you had a child who was throwing toys or trying to damage property for the sake of attention, not giving attention to that behavior, and then next time you're there priming them and saying, hey, while we're here, you can earn a prize or get some positive reinforcement if you don't kick these things might be a more effective way to address it. Um, so rather than giving them a reprimand, because a reprimand is a form of attention. And a lot of times when children are pushing boundaries, that can reprimanding them or like trying to correct some of those behaviors in the moment can inadvertently reinforce them and make them more likely to occur in the future if we are giving that attention. Another function is escape and avoidance. So there's a subtle difference between escape and avoidance. It kind of falls into the same category, but essentially escape is when you are trying to escape something that's already happening. So say you're in a math test and a child starts throwing his desk or tapping his pencil or something to escape something that's already going on. Whereas avoidance is your mom might say, "Oh, it's time to clean your room," and then they walk into the other room to try and avoid the impending the impending doom of having to clean your room. So that's the subtle difference between escape and avoidance, but they're paired in to the same function. And it's just basically a behavior that's used to escape or avoid a task, situation, or person. Um, and an example is a student acts out to avoid doing a difficult homework assignment. The third function is access. A lot of times they call it access to tangibles, but sometimes this can be access to an activity or a place. So I don't know, it does technically fit into the tangible category, but I like to just say access. I think it's a little bit easier, a little more straightforward. But basically, the access function is any behavior that is performed to gain access to a desired object, activity, or outcome. So a child screams to get a snack, or even just simply asking, "Can I have a snack?" The function of that behavior would be access. The last one is a little more elusive. This function is called sensory automatic, and it's basically just any behavior that feels good or meets a sensory need independent of social interaction or mediation from others. So we see this a lot in autism. Sometimes it can be rocking back and forth, humming, just doing different things that are intrinsically reinforcing to the other person and doesn't require any kind of social interaction or mediation. to elicit that behavior. Yeah, so those are the four functions of behavior. They're all important. Like I said, research shows that creating a functional based treatment plan is more effective. And if you can learn to identify the function of different behaviors, you can definitely intervene on them because sometimes, especially with problem behaviors, we'll have like a function like attention where our immediate kind of go-to reaction can sometimes be reinforcing because what they're after is attention. So offering a different kind of treatment plan can be effective in mitigating, reinforcing some of these problem behaviors. But yeah, that's a little gist of the four functions of behavior. I hope you liked it. Thank you.